What's going on there, guys? We back with another one, and this Ryan Clark RG3 thing has gone a little bit too far, I believe, at this point. As we know, they've traded words back and forth. I did videos on that yesterday, but now you have other people calling Ryan Clark out about something he said, where he was going at RG3 basically for having a white wife and trying to tackle these topics as it pertains to race and Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Although uh, he said that he feels like Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, and he specified and said not in a basketball way either. He said it's just pure hate. And so you did make it a little bit more personal when you said that. However, Ryan Clark took it a step further. When RG3 was responding in his video, his wife, who's white, was in the background shaking her head, in agreement with the things he was saying, clapping her hands, and pretty much pitting Angel Reese as the bad guy in all of this and agreeing. And so a lot of people perceive that is her take, and you are just, the vehicle to drive out what she wants to say, using your black face to kind of represent some of the takes you've seen against Angel Reese, right? And you allowed yourself to be used in that way. That's what people saying. But they like, wait a minute, Ryan Clark, you had a white baby mama with your first child, right? Before you got married. And so Leveon Bell, he comes out, he says, I don't get Ryan Clark's problem. He makes comments about RG3 having a white wife like he didn't have a kid with a white woman. I just don't get it. What is really his issue? And then he says, dang, what I do? I thought your smoke was with RG3, because Ryan Clark had blocked him after seeing those comments. And Marcellus Wiley, who there's no love lost between him and Ryan Clark. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. He says the apocalypse is upon us. At real Ryan Clark, 25, has a child with a white woman and has the audacity to question the blackness of RG3, who is married to a white woman, all over a foul. Talking about wives, now that's foul. And so that's what he had to say in response to that. Another person who's had issues with Ryan Clark here recently is Asante Samuel, and that goes back to him saying that he was better than Prime. Ryan Clark saying you not nowhere near in the atmosphere of Prime as a player. So they already had a little bit of beef going there. But Asante Samuel, he took his time to chime in as well, and this is what he had to say.
What's going on, X family? How y'all doing out there? It's your boy, Mr. Pick Six, and I got a little trip to attend to. I got some business to take care of, so I'm on the road, and I figure I'd drop a little knowledge to y'all, everything that's been going on, right? And I don't know how many of y'all have been married out there or is married. And when you're married, it hits a little different. As a husband, as a protector. And when someone says your wife, or they're speaking on your wife and say wife, everything after that wife word better be positive. The conversation that's to be positive when you're speaking on a man's wife. You have to thread real lightly. People will go crazy on you about speaking on their wife. No matter how you may think it sounds or how well you put it together, everything needs to be positive when you're speaking on a man's wife. Yeah, don't let that go over your head. And I'm gonna leave it right there, because you're playing a tricky game speaking on a man's wife. For real.
What a black woman goes through because he has a white wife. You got to remember, Ryan Clark, RG3 came out of a black woman. Would you have said that to a white reporter? See where I'm going with this? Now, mind you, the man has a white wife. but to attack him and say, you don't know nothing about how a black woman feels because you are married to a white woman. By the way, RG3 is black. He has a black mother, somebody black, daddy black or somebody black. I'm pretty sure if he got some sisters, he got some black aunties. So he knows what it means to understand black women. So Ryan Clark, you did cross the line. You crossed the line. And you owe that man an apology. Because you maliciously went out and attacked him and his wife.
Yeah, so this whole thing with bringing RG3's wife into it, one thing Ron Clark said was, he thought that she was so much more than just her race when she met her, right? It was a pleasant conversation he had with her, is what he was basically trying to say. But I think also Ryan set that up to say some other things, like you feel like you have to lift your wife above black women for whatever reason, and some things like that he said. But you should lift your wife up above any woman. That's first and foremost. Can RG3 have an opinion on black women, in sports? Absolutely. I mean, if he's watching the game, everybody's entitled to their opinion. We don't gotta like his opinion, or we ain't gotta like Ryan Clark's opinion, but everybody can have one. You know what I'm saying? I don't fault anybody for having their take or their world viewpoint. And it's shaped by what you've been through, how your life is, your experiences, and everything else. So for that reason, everybody's experience, the optics of the motives behind their opinions is going to be different, because people going to look at it like, oh man, this is a cornball brother, not knowing what he been through in life or why he is the way he is. And some people are just contrarians. Obviously some people like Whitlock will take a certain position because it's clicks and they are catering to a specific fan base. But I've seen RG3 have different takes on different sides of the coin, right? I've seen Ryan have some good opinions, but I've also seen him try to pander to, and I always say Jamil Hill, Monica McNutt, pretty much a lot of his takes when it involves women is almost like what the modern day feminist wants to hear. That's what I hear when I hear Ryan Clark speak sometimes. And but he has had some good points too. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's catering to exactly what the feminists want him to say. Whereas, sometimes the ladies, they have good points, that shouldn't be dismissed, but sometimes, just like anybody, they have points that need to be challenged. And, I would just say that Ryan Clark, when you speak on another man's wife, when you bring her into it, we've often been taught it doesn't matter what's happening. It matters what people think is actually happening. If you feel like it's actually happening, then that's what's happening in most people's minds. So you have to be mindful of that. Like, it doesn't matter what we think we're saying. We got to make sure that message comes across to where it doesn't appear that something else is happening or there's some other motive behind it, especially if you're talking about somebody's wife, because they're going to go on the defensive regardless. So you have to, when you bring that into a conversation, you have to make sure that is passed across clearly, because you have to put yourself in other person's shoes. You have to say, if somebody brought my wife up in this capacity, would I be receptive of anything that comes after that? Do I want any gray area when discussing my wife, or it has to be claro thorough? And I think I know the answer to that. So Ryan Clark, you should afford him that same courtesy. That is that man's wife at the end of the day. Now, RG3, he does make those jokes about milk and all that stuff. That's why I got it plastered up on the screen. He does do those corny milk jokes. And if I'm RG3, you need to stop doing that. That's your wife. Don't make fun of that, because people gonna pick. They're gonna pick with that. They're gonna take that and dissect that all different types of ways. So always treat your wife like your wife. Don't do the whole milk and Oreos and all this stuff. You can do anything black that can go with anything white. Don't play into that. That's your wife. You know what I'm saying? So don't make fun of that. For the public to see. If you do that behind your closed doors and that's what gets you going, man, do that. But I remember you did that when you make a mistake and take melanin instead of melatonin video that got a lot of flack a while back. A lot of people look at you corny, so that's why you're met with such opposition when you have this take. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.